on the island of Fortuna to Virgil and an unknown woman who would not or could not raise Nero. Nero would be taken by the parents of Kie and Credo, where he'll be given his name due to the black blanket he was found in. Before the events of Devil May Cry 4, Nero would join the Order of the Swords, who would quickly become one of their best swordsmen. During the Festival of the Blaze, Dante would assassinate Sanctus, where Nero would hold off Dante for as long as he could, but Dante would escape. Given orders to pursue the Devil Hunter, Nero would travel towards the Order of Swords headquarters, where Nero would run into several demons along the way, eventually find Agnes's lab, but while pressing Agnes for answers, Nero would be caught off guard, and being badly injured, Nero would only be revived after restoring the Yamato. But upon reaching headquarters, Credo would attack Nero. However, Nero would emerge the winner, but their fight would be witnessed by Kyrie, to which Agnes would use as an advantage. Making his way towards Agnes, the two would fight with Nero having the upper hand until Sanctus would intervene. Pursuing Sanctus, the two would battle, but Sanctus would gain the upper hand and would use Nero as a power source. However, Dante, after doing battle with Sanctus, would free Nero, and after a drawn-out battle, Nero would once again do battle Sanctus and would destroy the Savior, finally put an end to Sanctus for good. Afterwards, Dante would entrust the Yamato to Nero, who would go on to start his own branch of Devil May Cry. Tanjiro Kamado was born in the mountains as the eldest son to Kie and Tanjiro Kamado, who made a living selling charcoal. Despite not enjoying a lavish lifestyle, they lived happily. Before Tanjiro's father passed away, he would teach him the Hiyokami Kagura, a ritual dance passed down throughout his family. However, one day after selling charcoal, Tanjiro's family would be killed by the Demon King, Muzan Kibusuchi, except for Nezuko, who he turned into a demon. The two will later encounter a demon slayer named Giyu Tomioka, and after a brief scuffle, Giyu would send the two to a former war hashira, Sakonji Urokodaki, who would train Tanjiro in only 2 years, would proceed to final selection, where he would survive for the next 2 days. Tanjiro will encounter 2 other demon slayers, where they'll be assigned a mission to Mount Natagumo. After a few run-ins with demons, Tanjiro will battle the 12th Kizuki, Rui. And after a drawn-out fight, Tanjiro would hold out for as long as he could, but he'll be too exhausted after using Hiyokami Kagura. It would be saved by Giyu, who had been sent, who would make quick work of Rui. After recovering and going through rehabilitation training, they would meet up with Rengoku, but during their train ride, the demon enemy would fuse himself with the train, but with the help of Inosuke, the two would defeat the demon. But this would be short-lived when Tanjiro and Rengoku would be ambushed by Akaza, the 3rd Kizuki. Rengoku would fight for as long as he could, but Tanjiro would be too exhausted to take out Akaza, who managed to escape before the sun could rise. A few weeks after Rengoku's defeat at the hands of Akaza, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu would team up with the Sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui, where they would set off to the entertainment district, where they would assist Uzui to search for his wife that had failed to contact him for several days, but they would be attacked by Daki. Tanjiro will fight for as long as he could, but due to overexerting Hiyokami Kagura, Tanjiro will be unable to fight. Nezuko would take over for a bit until she will lose control due to her advanced demon transformation. Before she could hurt anyone, Tanjiro would calm her down, where Uzui would decapitate Daki. But this wouldn't end Daki. Daki would break down, cause their brother Gyotaro to emerge from her. After a long, prolonged fight, they would defeat the two. 2 months later, Tanjiro would wake up but without a sword, where he would be forced to head towards the swordsmith village. One night, Tanjiro and Miyotaro will be ambushed by an upper rank demon, where Tanjiro would do battle with upper rank 4 Hantengu. But with the help of the love hashira Mitsui Kanroji and Nezuko, Nezuko would pin down Hantengu long enough for Tanjiro to decapitate Hantengu. After training for the Demon Slayer battle for Muzan, Muzan himself will find Kagaya. However, this will be a trap for Muzan. After some parting words, Kagaya would set off some explosives, giving his life to the Demon Slayers, but this would partially work. But Muzan would immediately heal from his injuries. It will seem to be too much for the Hashiras to handle until Tamayo would inject Muzan with a cure for demons. Though this would seem to not work, Muzan would trap the Demon Slayers in the Infinity Castle. Tanjiro and Giyu would fight their way through the Infinity Castle, enduring a fierce battle with Akaza. However, after a long, drawn-out fight, Akaza will take his own life with his own attack, before going on to finally battle the Demon King Muzan. Even with the help of the Hashira, Muzan would hold the advantage, but this time, the effects of the drug that Tamayo had injected him with would begin to severely weaken Muzan, reducing his strength and rapidly aging him. And after a prolonged battle, Muzan would begin to disintegrate by the sun coming up. However, this won't be the end of the Demon King. Before being disintegrated, Muzan will inject his blood into Tanjiro, but with the help of Kanao will inject Tanjiro with the cure, who will be turned back into human again, finally putting an end to Muzan once and for all, as well to all demons. Afterwards, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and his friends will live happily in the Kamado home. But what's up, we're here where I'll be once again using a character from Showcase in a bonus fight, with a Demon vs Demon Slayer showdown. Nero, the man with the demonic arm, going against the young Demon Slayer, Tanjiro Kamado. Now, if you're a returning viewer, I'll actually be using an updated script for both characters, since I now have a proper understanding of Nero as a combatant, and Tanjiro actually needs an updated physical section. Otherwise, all that Nero would need is a few good grabs from Devilbringer and it's GG and everyone goes home. So to recap, Nero will be strictly taken up to the events of Devil May Cry 4 only, since his Devil May Cry 5 version will be a bit of an overkill, and Tanjiro will be taken up to the very end of Demon Slayer. For most of his showings, I'll be strictly sticking to the manga, and I won't be taking any of Nero's showings from any novels, mangas, dad books, or any side materials I'm unaware of. And for Tanjiro, I won't be taking any of his showings from the Human Kamigakura Chronicles game. And with that said, let's get the show on the road, starting with their physical capabilities. By then, Devil May Cry 4, Nero will be an 8-year-old boy, still around 6'2". Due to his demonic biology, Nero is insanely strong, shown when he overpowered Dante in their first fight and damaged him with just his punches, with Dante being able to overpower large demons and when much younger, create shockwaves when he and Virgil clash. Furthermore, Nero is capable of ragdolling large demons such as Burial and Bale, fought off hordes of demons by himself, with his Devilbringer crushed the saviors facing his grasp. As far as speed goes, Nero has reacted to a surprise attack from Kratos, kept pace with Dante, who can fight on par with Virgil, himself can attack faster than his opponents can react. However, with a mild grain of salt, during Nero's 2 fights with Dante, in their first fight, Dante was holding back, and in their second fight, despite toying with Nero, Nero was still easily overpowered. But nonetheless, this is still impressive, since Dante fought the Blitz Demon, who can move at lightning speeds and managed to move faster than most demons can react. Durability wise, much like the Son of Sparta, Nero can take one hell of a beating and continue to fight. He has been impaled several times and traded blows with Dante, but much like Dante and Virgil, Nero can only take so much damage until his healing factor will start to wear down, and with the right amount of damage, Nero will go down. By the time of his final battle with Muzan, Tanjiro will be a 15-year-old boy, standing around 5'5". Despite not looking like much, Tanjiro is very strong. He gave Inosuke a concussion with a single headbutt, and managed to knock down Sanemi Shinzugawa with a headbutt, who's a Hashira who are the greatest swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps, who can go toe-to-toe with high-ranking demons, and later trade blows with Sanemi. Even before becoming a Demon Slayer, Tanjiro held back a newly transformed Nezuko, and demons are capable of moving faster than humans can react, as will easily overpower them, implying that demons are a few levels above the average human on the food chain. As an upcoming Demon Slayer, he managed to fight against Yahaba's gravity manipulation using a water-style attack. Furthermore, Tanjiro managed to defeat several of the 12 Kisuke, such as Rui, Daki, and Kyoka, just to list off a few. But more impressively, blocked an attack from Akaza, and with a little help from Giyu, held down Muzan long enough for the sun to come up. As far as speed goes, Tanjiro at best scales his teammates such as Inosuke and Zenitsu, who can move at lightning speeds. After mastering total concentration, Tanjiro at best scales above Kanao, who can trade blows and react to Doma, and Kanao was trained by the insect Hashira Shinobu Kocho, who is the fastest of the Demon Slayers, who managed to move faster than Doma can react. Tanjiro also speed blitzed several demons under endless control, and managed to keep pace of Daki and Gyotaro, with Gyotaro being able to keep pace of Tengen Uzui, who himself sliced off Daki's head before she could react. But Tanjiro, most impressively, not only kept pace with, but dodged attacks from Akaza, and Tanjiro, during his fight to Upper Moon, cut off his arm before he could fatally injure Giyu. He also reacted to Muzan, with Muzan being able to speed blitz several Demon Slayers at once, despite being weakened at the time, and intercepted a punch as well react to Sanemi, not once, but several times. times. The same Sanemi will go on to fight and react to attacks from Kokoshibo, who is the strongest of the upper moons, with Kokoshibo's own base beam being fast enough to cut off Akaza's arm before he could react. As for durability, Tanjiro is very tough. He's taken hits from Akaza, who's severely injured Rengoku, and sent Gyu flying through a wall with a kick. He's had 2 of his fingers broken by Gyotaro and still managed to swing his sword. He's also been stabbed, taking hits from a Yoruichi train dummies that sent it flying. He's been ragged all around by Yahaba's gravity manipulation, only suffering a broken leg and a few broken ribs. He's been struck by the Faza demon like a baseball by a tree, took hits from Daki and Gyotaro, and still managed to fight after being poisoned by Muzan, as well as Tink being wailed on by Rui. He's endured sprains, contusions, and pulled muscles. He's taken hits by Nyochiro, tanked a hit from a wound dragon suffering only a broken leg, endured a large fall off the side of a cliff. But Tanjiro isn't unbreakable. Sure, he does have a damn good amount of endurance, but a well-placed stab will be more than enough to put him down. On paper, this will seem very clear-cut, but in reality, they are actually hitting in a similar ballpark, but not exactly on the same page. For starters, Nero without doubt has both the physical fitness advantage and is physically more powerful. For starters, Nero is much more stronger. He has ragdoll behemoth-sized demons and has held his own against Dante. Now, despite Dante holding back and even toying with him, it's still worth mentioning. Tanjiro's best strength feat is holding down Muzan temporarily with the help of Gyu, but even then, Tanjiro unfortunately falls short compared to Nero's other feats. Yes, there are high-ranking demons who can hit hard, but they still fall short at the end of the day compared to the Sons of Sparta. Speed is actually pretty close, but I'm just slightly leaning towards Tanjiro. Despite being comparable to Dante, just keep this in mind. Dante was toying with Nero throughout their 2 fights, with Tanjiro scaling to Zenitsu, who moves at lightning speeds, the same speeds as the Blitz demon appearing as a blur. But I more favor Tanjiro since he later kept pace with Akaza, and I would argue that Akaza is one of the second physically more impressive of the upper moons. Durability is honestly no debate. Nero has been impaled, thrown around, and swapped hands with Dante, on top of having a faster regeneration. Despite Tanjiro having a damn good amount of endurance, Tanjiro can still go down by a well-placed impalement. Don't get me wrong, that by no means that Tanjiro is a glass cannon. Durability-wise, Tanjiro is on par with Final Fantasy characters such as Squall and Zack, but Nero's demonic biology alone puts him above demons that Tanjiro has faced. So I give Nero the edge in physical capabilities. Nero carries a total of 3 weapons. His first is dubbed the Red Queen. The Red Queen is a modified version of the sword used by the Order of the Swords. Nero's version has a motorcycle-like gear shift which ignites the blade to deal out more damage. However, this does take time to charge up. His second weapon is dubbed the Blue Rose. The Blue Rose is a Smith & Wesson double-action revolver which has an over and under style barrel. Much like Dante, Nero can channel his demonic power into his shots to deal out more damage. His final weapon is the Yamato, the sword once used by Virgil, which contains an immense amount of demonic power that is capable of cutting through souls, but due to absorbing it, Nero can only use this weapon when he activates his Devil Trigger. However, even by the end of Devil May Cry 4, Nero would not be as skilled with the Yamato as Dante or Virgil are. Tanjiro carried only 1 weapon, that's his Nichiren sword, which is a katana that can cut through demons with ease. However, tougher materials can easily break or even cut through Nichiren swords. Yeah, there's not even debate. In terms of swords, both Nero's Red Queen and the Yamato outclasses Tanjiro's Nichiren sword. In terms of the Red Queen, it's larger, thicker, and deals far more damage even without the amp of the gear shift. Don't get me started about the Yamato. The demonic functions alone hits back far more harder than Tanjiro's breathing styles alone can dish out, and is his most hard-hitting weapon in his arsenal. The Blue Rose is honestly a non-factor. Demon Slayer characters scale to lightning speeds, so the Blue Rose isn't doing much, unless Nero can catch Tanjiro off guard. Honestly, as much as I want to give Tanjiro credit, I really can't say much. Nero gets the overwhelming edge in weapons. Due to his demonic biology, Nero was granted a minimal yet effective selection of abilities. His most common use of his demonic powers is his arm dubbed the Devil Bringer. The arm allows Nero to grab enemies to pull them to him, or grapple opponents to thrash them around like a rag doll. However, the arm is very durable, being able to block a strike from Dante's Rebellion sword. After restoring the Yamato, Nero awoken his Devil Trigger. His Devil Trigger creates a spectral version of his inner demon form. His Devil Trigger allows him to attack twice per every blow. This form also grants Nero a healing factor. He can fire out energy swords per each shot from his blue rose revolver. He can send out projectile slashes in the form of an X. Nero can charge up a large amount of demonic energy to unleash an onslaught of devastating sword strikes. After being trained by the former Water Hashira, Tanjiro learned powerful water attacks. His more known attacks that he uses consist of Water Wheel, as the name states, is the attack in a circular motion. Water Surfer Slash is a single concentrated slash. Flowing Dance attacks in a flowing motion to attack several opponents at once. Striking Tide deals several blows simultaneously. Whirlpool creates a powerful whirlpool that slashes part anyone caught in its range. His strongest form is Constant Flux, which creates a water dragon and deals out several powerful attacks, with the damage output increasing for every rotation. But his most powerful attacks comes from his father's teachings, dubbed the Himukami Kagura. Clear Blue Sky is a 360 slash. Raging Sun deals 2 horizontal slashes. Burning Bones Summer Sun unleashes a large circle slash that defends the user from frontal attacks. Fake Rainbow performs high speeds, twists, and rotations to create after images, mainly used to evade attacks. Fire Wheel spins in the air, releasing a circle attack. Flame Dance is a 2-combo strike that starts with a vertical slash, followed by a horizontal one afterwards. Setting Sun Transformation is a backflip before delivering a horizontal slash to decapitate opponent. Solar Heat Haze is a rush-style attack enveloping his sword in flames in order to deliver a surprise slash. Beneficent Radiance is a spiral slash. Sunflower Thrust is a singular thrust of Tanjiro's blade. Dragon Sun Halo Head Dance is a large array of consecutive slashes in a continuous motion. Now, I won't be mentioning the 13th form merely because it's simply Tanjiro adding all of the forms at once, and I really don't want to repeat myself or bore my audience. By the time of his final battle with Muzan, Tanjiro will have mastered this ability, so he doesn't suffer any drawbacks. After mastering Total Concentration, Tanjiro can close his wounds at a rapid rate. He can predict his opponent's next moves through muscle movement, and can smell demons knowing their exact location. But this isn't all he had. After his fight with Akaza, Tanjiro can see into the transparent world, allowing him to see into his opponents and their organs, while slowing down his perception time and increasing his speed and reflexes. Well, after everything I went over, I hope it's not a surprise, despite Nero easily having more firepower than Tanjiro, the real question is how effectively can they apply them to combat? And that'll just have to be Tanjiro, since Tanjiro's abilities are a main focus to his fighting style. The only ability that Nero applies in his combative style is his Devilbringer. Even then, it's mainly to pull enemies to him or to ragdoll them around. And Tanjiro has a plethora of abilities to counter this, Total Concentration and his breathing styles. Now, as for Nero's Devil Trigger, I'm not even gonna act like Tanjiro can counter this, because he can't. The moment that Nero breaks out his Devil Trigger, it's pretty much over from there. Not only does Tanjiro have to cope with Nero's enhanced physical prowess, which in base Nero is already ahead in. Hey, Future Winter here. Now I was going to bring up the transparent world, but Nero not only has one, but two ways to counter this. Simply ragdolling him around, or landing a well-placed punch, since Total Concentration has the same weakness that Hamon does. If a user's breathing is disrupted via a hit to a solar plexus, or if they're too exhausted, then this ability can be negated. Not to mention, Akaza and Kokoshibu have been shown to cope with the ability, and its speed and reflex amp. At the end of the day, Tanjiro simply has overall better variety, so I give Tanjiro the edge in special abilities by default. Just like all other fights involving characters that use weapons, I'll be using Star Wars Lightsaber Fine Forms to better analyze and illustrate how a combatant approaches combat. And with that said, let's begin. As a member of the Order of Swords, Nero will be their best fighter. and due to fighting hordes of demons, Nero will be proficient in Form 1 Shisho and Form 5 Jinso. Shisho trains the user to use wide sweeping strikes to deal with groups of opponents, however the form can be easily countered by a well-trained opponent. Form 5 trains a user to block or parry before countering with a devastating assault. As an overall combatant, Nero deals with opponents by applying an overwhelming amount of brute force to destroy his opponents with the mentality of Form 7. As a matter of fact, this is Nero's main and only tactic. Throughout the events of DMC4, Nero hasn't actually won or defeated a skilled opponent, and this is highly evident during his second fight with Dante. Once Dante started taking the fight somewhat seriously, Dante easily got the upper hand on him. Due to facing powerful or even multiple demons at a time, Tanjiro would use Form 6 Neomon, but I do see Tanjiro taking elements from other forms, such as Form 1 Shisho, Form 5 Genso, and Form 4 Taru. Form 1 trains the user to use wide sweeping strikes to deal with groups of opponents, however a well-trained opponent can easily counter this form. But Tanjiro would fix this with Form 5, which trains in blocking or dodging before immediately counterattacking with a devastating assault. Form 4 trains the user to use acrobatics and aggression to overwhelm an opponent, however the form isn't designed to use in close quarters. As an overall combatant, Tanjiro can best be described as a jack of all trades but master of none. Tanjiro without doubt is the more smarter member of his party, such as when he managed to catch Gyotaro off guard by masking scent with wisteria flowers, or when he used his water styles to soften his fall when being ragdolled around by Yahaba. However, as a tactician, Tanjiro more prefers his breathing styles than his swordsmanship. Not that Tanjiro is a bad fighter, he has shown to contend with high-ranking demons with greater experience, such as Akaza, who has centuries of experience as a martial artist. Not just a good strategist, Tanjiro is also quick to adapt to an opponent's fighting style, whether it's stalling for a time or to seek out certain weaknesses of his opponent's fighting style, or simply looking for openings. Nonetheless, Tanjiro isn't going down easily without putting up one hell of a fight. When it comes to Nero and Tanjiro as combatants, it's actually a bit messy, since Tanjiro uses two of Nero's fighting styles, which Nero would be better at, since Form 1 and 5 would be a primary focus due to facing hordes of demons on his own. Tanjiro usually has a teammate or two to back him up for any mistakes he would make. Now, as for Form 4, when using Himon Kamikagura, then Tanjiro would have a bit of an advantage, since Himon Kamikagura is a fast and agile breathing style. So the question is, whose blade skills will allow him to control the fight better, and which approach is overall better suited for one-on-one engagements against powerful opponents? And that will just have to be Nero. Nero has the advantage for several reasons. Now, in a one-on-one engagement in a pure sword fight, Nero will have the advantage, since he has faced powerful demons and has honed his skills for years to deal with swarms of demons on his own, and even gave a slightly serious Dante a run for his money. And Dante as combatant absolutely eclipses both Nero and Tanjiro in every way possible. Once Tanjiro starts using his breathing styles, it's going to be a bit more difficult for Nero to keep up with Tanjiro's fast and agile approach. And not to mention, Tanjiro is also the better tactician. Now, I'm no way saying that Nero is a bad fighter. Put Nero in Demon Slayer, he'll be one of the toughest demons that anyone in a Demon Slayer corps would have ever faced. By the end of DMC4, Nero hasn't won a fight against a superior opponent. His only win that he has ever had in his fight was with Dante, and as I mentioned before, Dante was holding back even in their second fight. Nero himself admits that Dante was toying with him from the beginning. However, for every fight that Tanjiro has faced with the upper moons, even lower moons such as Rui, Tanjiro has struggled. Not to mention, Tanjiro was at a clear disadvantage with Akaza, and only after accessing the transparent world where he discarded all of his emotions that made Akaza's compass Nero ineffective. But due to Nero having a 2-1 advantage, I give Nero the edge in combat skills and tactics.
The bosses of greed and fear, yeah. Don't ask if I'm ready, but I'm ready to take them down now. The time for a new start is constantly drawing nearer.
Let's just say that Nero's been assigned by Dante to go retrieve a demonic artifact from a village. That village just happens to be the Swordsmith village. But unfortunately for Nero, he's caught in the crossfire of a demon invasion. But these demons are unlike his original grunt demons. These actually require some effort. Nero finishes off a demon that stored itself in a vase. Despite finding the job tedious, at least he has something to keep him occupied. That is the case until the demon wielding a staff drops from a higher ledge. Not missing a beat, Nero fights a demonic charge shot into the demon that stuns it long enough to be decapitated by a boy with a checkered Howry. The demon hybrid thanks the boy, but seeing his demonic arm, activates Water Wheel, taking Nero by surprise, but manages to parry the boy's attack, sending him skating back. I don't care who you are, but any demon associated with Muzan is an enemy. What? Listen, I don't know what you've seen, but I'm nothing like those demons that you have faced. This doesn't seem to have any effect. But if it's a fight that the young Demon Slayer wanted, then it's a fight he'll get. Nero is the one to act first, closing distance as the two engage in staring swordplay. The Slayer manages to get in a few slashes in on the demon, but it's nothing that he can't handle. As Tanjiro goes for a decapitation, but Nero parries before grabbing him with his demonic arm and thrashes him around like a rag doll. Tanjiro quickly rebounds at the last moment, activates War Surface Slash. Nero manages to block but is sent skating back. Still maintaining footing, the Slayer doesn't give Nero time to react as he initiates Raging Sun. However, Tanjiro is surprised when his attack doesn't even cut through Nero's demonic arm, instead chips his blade. Nero taking the opening to slash the Demon Slayer across his upper body. Recoiling back, Tanjiro initiates Floating Dance before following this up with Water Wheel. At the last moment, the demon dodges before snatching the Slayer out of the air and tossing him into a building. Tanjiro emerges from the debris. Despite a few broken ribs, he powers through the pain to activate Flame Dance. Nero may have deflected the first two strikes, but he still takes the rest. That sends him into a wall. The knight allows his human effect to close up the wounds. This allows Tanjiro to close the distance as he initiates Sunflower Thrust. At the last possible moment, the demon sidesteps the strike meant to impale him, before upcutting the Slayer into the air. Using the momentum, Tanjiro activates Fire Wheel, but Nero simply parries the strike. The two break away as they prepare to go all out. The two rush each other as Tanjiro uses Sun Dragon Halo Head Dance. When the forces meet, Tanjiro is left stunned when his attack is halted by a spectral demon holding his blade. Without a moment of hesitation, Nero, now wielding the Yamato, cuts Tanjiro's sword in two as he unleashes an onslaught of sword strikes, leaving him badly bloodied and beaten before delivering a hard jab that knocks the wind out of him, fracturing his sternum and sends him flying back several feet. The Slayer is left in bad shape. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't lift his now half sword, let alone even stand. Nero deactivates his double trigger as he leaves to complete his mission, and with that, I declare Nero, the Holy Knight, the winner. Well, I have to admit, this was a lot closer than I expected it to be. At first, I was expecting Nero to stomp. Yes, Nero does take physical capabilities due to better scaling and feats, but what ultimately gave Nero this advantage was his healing and durability. Weapons is fairly simple. Nero's Red Queen on its own outclasses Tanjiro's Nichiren sword in length, damage output, and a gear shift increases damage and speed. So Yamato's demonic functions outclasses Tanjiro's sword in every way possible. Nero may not be as effective with the Yamato as Virgil or even Dante, but bare minimum, at least he knows how to use it. Now, special abilities and combat skills kind of go hand in hand. However, the main question that I ask myself is not only could Tanjiro cope with Nero's brute force fighting style, but if he could simply outlast him. And what I came up with is no. Now hear me out. Even if this was Demon Tanjiro, I still see Nero walking away as a winner. Tanjiro isn't a bad fighter, however, he has had a lot of help throughout his journey, especially when it comes to finding Muzan. Keep in mind, Tanjiro didn't win through wits or brains. The Demon Slayers had a lot of help from Tamayo and Shinobu, since by the time the Demon Slayers fought Muzan, the Demon King was severely weakened due to Tamayo's drug not only turning demons into humans, but it was also laced with another drug that accelerated his aging and drastically weakened his strength and endurance, giving the Demon Slayers a very big handicap. But at the end of the day, even as though Tanjiro can challenge Nero, and I simply see Nero winning more times than not. All that anyone needs to do is have A. Better abilities that Tanjiro either has to take head on or has to fight around. B. Can outfight him, or simply have the skills and experience that can cope with Tanjiro's offense. Or C. Have abilities and the skills that can overwhelm him the moment that the battle gets close to court, or can keep him at a distance long enough to take him out. And unfortunately, Nero is just one of many characters who can not just outclass Tanjiro, but can outfight him. Now, don't take this me as downplaying Tanjiro. Tanjiro's breeding styles alone will allow him to give lower A tier characters a run for their money, and by extension, Nero. So what this really came down to was if Tanjiro could counter Nero's Devil Trigger, and unfortunately, by the time Nero would activate it, Tanjiro wouldn't be in the best shape, and at that point, it would only take 1 or 2 well-placed hits to take out the Demon Slayer. But this is just my opinion. Does Nero has what it takes to take out the young Demon Slayer, or can Tanjiro get that one hit in he needs to take out Nero? With that said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter if you care about that, and I'll see y'all next time.